Hey, well, hello there, John LaRoy from Apparel Redefined. How are you today, my friend?
Doing great, Kurt. How are you?
Awesome. Hey, I'm doing great. So, couldn't man, what a beautiful day, wonderful summer. And speaking of summer, how about John? Are you a baseball fan by any chance?
Oh God, yeah, you know that, Kurt. I know
They're
you are
just
too.
hey,
Yeah.
I think we're just a little bit of baseball junkies, if you will. So, what an honor, what a privilege. We got Bill Waliewski, the assistant general manager of Windy City ThunderBolts. Bill, how are you, my friend? Thank you for joining us.
Well, I rarely get invited anywhere. So, guys, I'm really thrilled to be here. But no, everything's good. Everything's good. We're actually into the second half of our season, so it's got about a month to go. It's crazy how fast it goes.
Well, awesome. You know what? So let's start off right there. For folks out there, Thunderbolts, just share a little bit about the team. Who are you? I know you're in the Frontier League. Just if somebody's not familiar with the team, just give us a little foundation of what's going on with the Thunderbolts.
Sure. So the Thunderbolts are members of the Frontier League. The Frontier League's independent professional baseball league. We are an official partner league of Major League Baseball. We have been in the Frontier League for 26 years now, and we're located in Crestwood, Illinois, not too far from John's office. And we play 96 games every summer. And our people are always curious about our league. Our league, the Frontier League, is made up of 16 teams, and we are from the Midwest. Three teams here in the Chicagoland area, a team down by St. Louis, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Evansville, Indiana, Florence, Kentucky, and then we have a whole group of teams out on the East Coast as well, and into Canada. So it's a real league. It's a lot of travel, and we every year we end up. We've already had one guy signed to a affiliated contract with the Tampa Rays. Every year we get a couple three guys signed, and that's why we're here. We're here for those guys the players that were overlooked, or have had a chance, an injury, or just bad luck and bad timing. They're no longer in affiliated baseball. We're for first and second chances, then sometimes thirds. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be around the game, and it's great too that minor league baseball. It's no secret. It's a community endeavor, right? So it's just great to be a part of this Crestwood community and the South Suburban community, and be able 48 home games a year to entertain folks and get their mind off other things and enjoy the summer.
Well, man, I absolutely love that. And again, multiple things you just mentioned, bringing together your community. It's a nice alternative for folks that, I don't know if you guys, have you seen inflation anywhere? There's like prices a little bit high. So sometimes it's nice, if you can't hit the major league games, it's great going to these alternatives. And just what an admirable, mission that you guys provide for those first, second, and third chances. Bill, let's go here. So, as baseball fans that we are, what a wonderful career that you've paved for yourself in this field. Now, if I understand correctly, you started off in real estate. I'm just dying a little, know a little bit about you. How do you go from real estate to diving into the baseball world?
I'll try and give you the short version. Because yeah, it's goofy, right? So I had a 23 and a half year career in commercial real estate. I had worked for two firms over that time. The second company I worked for, I was there for 13 and a half years. And I for the 2 years prior to my leaving, I given some thought as to moving on and doing something else within commercial real estate. It just seemed time. And that's where the long part of the story comes in, but I'll spare it for you. I didn't feel like the gentleman that I worked for, who was an absentee owner, philosophically, I didn't think we were on the same page anymore. So anyway, so I turned in a resignation and tried to give him 3 weeks notice. 3 weeks turned into 3 months. And my plan I was just going to spend the summer with my kids because I figured they were young and it was the last time I'd be able to do that. And didn't quite work out that way. So I stuck around and made the transition a little more easy for everybody. And while that was going on, John and I have a mutual friend actually who it was retired and but a wealthy individual, and he said, "I've got a bunch of investment. You're not doing anything as you're winding down here," and he handed me a stack of investment opportunities that he was looking at. He said, "I don't really have time to vet through these. Tell me if there's anything that you think would interest me." And the top three were baseball teams, and trying to be brief. Ended up in Joliet. He purchased what was left of the Joliet Jackhammers, who unfortunately went bankrupt. And then we rebranded a team down there called the Joliet Slammers, which is still in the Frontier League. And I was there for 2 years. He sold the team, and trying to fast forward through it, I ended up here in Crestwood 10 years ago, and I'm still in baseball. So it was a strange route to get here, but I love that I'm here.
Well, that God bless you, man. That is just so inspiring. Share a little, for us sports fans, we show up to the games, we enjoy the hot dogs, the snacks, the entertainment, the players on the field. Share a little bit, we probably all take for granted as fans, we take it for granted the baseball side of things. Share a little bit of, behind the scenes, because like you're putting out this wonderful entertainment for us. What's it like on your end?
Well, if we do it right, it's exactly as you described. You should think that it was effortless and that the gates opened and everything was ready. And if you have 48 of them, you're gonna have days where things go wrong. Ballpark's got a lot of moving parts to it. Things break down and whatnot. But yeah, if we're doing our jobs, the biggest thing is. And I tell this to our interns and everything, what people may not know. The hours are absolutely brutal, and they start the way we run our business, which nobody from Harvard Business School is coming in here and saying, "Wow, what a great model." We run it very lean and mean. There's only 5 full-timers here, and everybody works their tail off. And the only way it works is if you have 5 people really dedicated to your mission and what you're trying to accomplish. We're fortunate that we have that. That said, the hours, we started here at 9 o'clock. We'll probably be home by 2 a.m. And that's pretty much 48 game days. The other thing is, at our level, the way to make money is to, you gotta have the facility busy all the time, especially in Chicago when we really only have a window. Call it March to end of October, where the field is usable just because of weather conditions. So the ballpark's always humming. Somebody's always got to be here. So if I'm taking you behind the scenes, I'm taking you into a place where there's not a lot of sleep in the summer. There's a lot of activity, a lot of energy, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I even for somebody of my age. You're like a kid in this job. And my wife likes to call me the world's largest 8th grader. Maybe I am. And that's okay, right? So
That's
it's
a
good.
compliment.
We got to be a little bit of a kid to do what we do.
Well,
Kurt, I just want to chime in because Bill's being a little humble here. They put on an unbelievable show. I mean, and these guys, you talk about hustling and running around. He's on the field. He's doing, in between inning promotions. He's doing in between inning games and contests. He's on the mic. It's amazing what they do. And you said earlier about the community too. Coaching high school baseball, playing baseball in the area. They used to be the Cook County Cheetahs when they first started, and one of my coaches played for them. I had 4 or 5 guys that I played ball with play for the Thunderbolts and win the championship a long time ago. And it is really a community because, I mean, that stadium is humming. I mean, if I stood on my roof, I could see the facility. And from the high school baseball games, the travel tournaments, the little league events, I mean, that place is always rocking. And it's really cool because I feel like the community around here really does embrace it. Regardless of the economic situation, they really have a good following. And I really do feel that there's a direct representation of the experience at the ballpark that Bill and his team really do a phenomenal job of putting that on. Because I've been all over the country, and we always, in travel ball when you're playing as a kid, and most of your travel ball tournaments are not at least now, or at least before, they were not in big cities. They were in minor league towns, and got to see a lot of minor league ballparks, and what they got going at Windy City is truly special.
Well, I absolutely love it. And that's great getting your perspective, John, because you're, from a fan perspective and, you have a business relationship with Bill. So,
Yeah.
Bill, as you mentioned, 5 full-time employees, you guys are cranking from March until October, just all in. And again, for, those seasonal type businesses, like, you've got to milk it, every opportunity. You're building community. Part of building that community is that civic pride. And, and a lot of times that's what our sports teams, do. They provide that civic pride. With that comes, the baseball hats, the sweatshirts, the t-shirts. How important is it from your perspective as far as like, having that fun apparel, seeing those little kids out there? What are your thoughts there?
Well, nothing. I get a huge kick out of. Funny you mentioned the other day, a former employee of ours, who is just a great dude, sends me a picture from a restaurant that he's at, and a guy's wearing a Windy City ThunderBolts hat, right? And I love that. So my wife and I were at Sam's Club. I think this was 2 years ago. It was in the off season, and there's a guy coming down with a Windy City ThunderBolts hat and a sweatshirt on, and so we make eye contact, and I think he recognized me. We just high-fived and just kept going about our way. It's great. It's awesome. I love when we people buying our stuff or wearing it out and about. When we don't see it at a game, when we see it just in random places, I think I get a huge kick out of that. So merchandising is a big deal for us, and we've been fortunate here in the last I don't know 5 years or so that we've been able to grow that end of our business a little bit, and we're a little. We suffer from two problems here. One, the store is incredibly small. Number two, and talking to some of my colleagues in our league, they all suffer from this. There's never enough storage space at a ball. Secure storage space, right? If I moved here, you probably there's some boxes behind me that are stored in here because that's the only place I got to put them right now. So it's a huge part of it, and building that community and not only civic pride, but pride in the team that we are, and it's great to see the fans embrace our merchandise.
I love that. So, just to kind of piggyback, and again, so let's get into the entrepreneur's mind, if you would. Say when you started, you mentioned you've been at Windy City for 10 years. If you would go back and give yourself any advice, or maybe there's a Bill out there that's coming into a team for the first time, what kind of advice would you share for folks, or maybe even that new entrepreneur who's like, hey, you know what? I'd like to get my team in uniforms, or, get the swag going, get that energy, that excitement. Any advice that you would share with folks in that same position?
Wow. So just before I answer that, so I inherited the store in 2017. And that's just kind of the way it works around here. Just like, hey, the gal who left the store or ran the store left, so here's that. And that's how I end up with the on-field promotions too. It's just the way it goes. So I mean, listen, I know what I like. I know what I like to wear. You gotta think outside that box though, right? Because I've been wearing the same stuff since 1993. Essentially, my style hasn't changed an iota. Not that sports merchandising is trendy or anything. It's a lot of the same stuff, but my biggest thing was we had too few SKUs, number one. So we just didn't have enough individual items. We had a t-shirt, and we had one sweatshirt, and somewhat limited hats. So it didn't happen overnight. It took me time to figure out what the right mix was for the size of our store. I had always been told, hey, no, you can't buy that. You can't sell that stuff. Our fans won't pay that price. for a higher end sweatshirt, let's say, they'll never spend over $50 for a sweatshirt. One year I just said, well, we're going to give that a try. We're going to put a higher end sweatshirt out there, and it sold out. And then I put another, so the only advice I have is just keep at it. I have no retail experience whatsoever. I like to think that, I give some thought as to where items are placed and those types of things, but it's been a lot of trial by error along the way. But, if I may, with like having vendors like John, where I can say, hey, I'm looking for a high-end piece, a high-end pullover, something that the players would like to wear and something like the fans would like to have because the players wear it. But, and be able to produce that quickly and get it out there. We did that last year with a black pennant pullover that, we've already ordered a second time. So, I think it's a long way to get at, trust your instincts. You'll develop them over time. And if your instincts tell you, hey, they will pay a little bit more for a nicer item, as was the case with me, just trust your instincts a little bit, and you can, and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, I love that. John, if you want to chime in here for a minute, because a couple of things going on here, Bill, is, you're uniforming your players. Your players are walking billboards, and again, that fandemonium, you're rooting these guys on, and wearing the swag. But you're also, from a business standpoint, it's a profit center for you. So it's like uniforming your team in the culture, the look, all that, as well as, man, how can I make some money? John, as you're working with sports teams, could be the Little League team down the street, could be, the high school team, that type of thing, could be cheerleading, whatever it might be, all the way up to Bill's level. Any input that you want to share here?
I feel like, the buzzword is swag, and it's taken over. My dad and, a lot of my summers were spent at St. Xavier University, which is a local college here, Catholic college, and they just redid their field. And what they have there is a really strong alumni group from my dad's era that is getting back involved, and we're involved. And now they want, they're bringing the former coach is John Bowles, who coached in the major leagues for a while, and director of player personnel in a couple different stops. And he's coming back to rededicate the field. But what I'm getting at is, a bunch of the guys were out there working on the field, and there was a bunch of travel baseball going on because now they got the turf field and they can make some money off it. And a couple of my dad's buddies who've been out of the game and moved down to Florida. They're like, man, these kids look really good, but the quality of baseball is horrible. He's like, they have unbelievable uniforms. Something that they never had growing up. And but he's like, they look really good, but it just doesn't translate. We always said look good, play good, but it is. I mean, we see it at the high school level. It's part of the recruiting game now, and even at Bill's level too. Like you got ex major leaguer, pretty respected guy, had a really long career here in Chicago, Bobby Jenks, and it's like that level of, hey, I'm expecting this type of look, feel, function. And it's kind of crazy because you see in the major league now with what happened with Nike and Fanatics, quality is not there at the major league level. They have pants ripping, shit see-through. They changed from Under Armour to Nike, Majestic, all these things that are
Can't
going
read
on.
the last names on the back.
Yeah, last names are 2 inches instead of 3. The numbers are too small. All this shit that we would get rejected on our end.
Yeah, sure.
It's at the major league level. But anyhow, it is really important because if you're not doing it, your competition is. And it's just crazy it happened this way. We get an email from God, it escapes me, the Massachusetts team in the Frontier League.
Oh, Brockton Knockouts, or the New England Knockouts.
The New England Knockouts, yeah. They're like, hey, we saw what the Thunderbolts are wearing. We want that too. So, it's like, it's just the reputation kind of precedes itself. If it looks good, if it makes sense, people want it. And, you know, and that obviously will translate into retail sales. But, you know, there has been more of a focus, even in this tough economy where people don't have as much disposable income as they did 4 or 5 years ago. Um, there still is that perceived and real aspect of make a purchase. I want it to be quality, and you can just inherently feel if something's good and you're willing to pay for it. And if you see it on the field and your favorite players are wearing it, because Bill, like you said, like at this level of baseball, you have absolute loyalists, you know, like that. They're season ticket holders. They have been for 15 years. And Bill does a really good job of keeping that community connected and activated. And that's very, I'd say, not unique, but it's an essential part of minor league baseball. And one way to really connect with those people is swag. And they wear it to the games, they wear it out, and that's the best form of advertising there is. When you see something in Sam's Club and they're wearing the Windy City WC,
Yeah.
it helps. And they're not going to wear it if it doesn't look good and if it doesn't feel good.
Well, I can speak firsthand to, like, you know, having 3 kids that went through high school. The last one is on his way out after this year, this coming year. They all play sports, and you know the amount of swag that is available. I mean, as soon as they make the team, you know, the email goes out, and you know, I'm a sucker for it because I know when I played, like, we didn't have those options. You know, we maybe got one cool thing that you could wear, or a jacket or whatever. Now, you know, hey, you want the dry fit, you want the sweatpants, you want the running pants. We got a polo shirt, we got this. Blah, 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 blah. It's crazy, and I buy all of it like it's dope. And and the reason being, I know how cool that would have been when I was a kid to have. I made the team, and now I have stuff from being on that team, you know. So, and yeah, it same applies here. Everybody wants quality stuff, and especially if you make that connection with the team, it's a big deal.
Yeah, especially for guys, like you said, you know, we take pride in wearing something from 30 years ago. And, you know, our spouse might be like, you know, hey, are you getting rid of that? Are you like, are you kidding? This is in perfect condition, you know? And like, you know, you can barely read anything on it, but it's just comfort, you know? So when you buy that quality product, I love how you mentioned earlier, Bill, how you experimented, and you're like, you know, when you convince yourself, well, hey, the fan won't pay or buy
Right.
this. And then you're like, hey, you know what? Let's just take a shot. It's a minor investment. Let's see what happens. If, you know, we'll have a big I told you so party at the end if I'm wrong. How's that? You know? So kudos
Right.
to you for stepping out of your comfort zone and trying to. I want to tie into here, and I want to talk about, you know, I like that fans first, or like that customer loyalty, you know, because, and again, for, you know, for sports, you know, we don't, as fans, we don't always think of it as a business, right? We're just like, hey, I want to come in and I want to get my hot dog. I want to do that thing. But, you know, there's all these people behind the scenes creating that experience. How at Windy City, your team of 5, you mentioned a dedication, you know, 9 in the morning till 2 at night, but just share a little bit of like how important it is from your perspective when you bring on new teammates of having that fans first mentality.
So the hard part for I always find each year is, so we get a call it 15 to 20 interns, okay, each year. It's a wonderful internship. I think everybody should work at a ballpark or a sporting venue at some point in their life. I think even if it's just for a summer, I think it's just a cool thing. It's an eye-opening thing. The hard part is to get them to buy in. First, you got to make them understand, right? And I always try to appeal to them as, okay, we've all been fans, right? We've all been at a sporting event, at a concert, of whatever it is. And you know, you have to look at it from the lens of, when I'm sitting in that seat or I'm entering the ballpark, what do I expect? And if I think if you kind of put it through that lens a little bit, and then tell them, well, here's our vision. This is what we want this to be. You know, fan friendly, you know, clean ballpark. I would say a clean ballpark's a happy ballpark. all, I'm just giving you a couple nuggets here, but it's putting that all together and creating that, fan first environment. Like we always like that, or I do. I like to sit down and with the interns and say, you're going to be on a concourse and you're going to be wearing one of our shirts. You're an expert in people's minds. You know where this is. You know where that is. And early on, it might be okay to say, I don't know. I'll ask somebody, or I'll get you that answer. But most commonly in our ballpark, anyway, where's the restroom, right? So they need to know. They need to, it's just little things. But I think getting people to understand what we're trying to do here, and that it's family friendly. First of all, it's a safe, fun place. And the other thing that this is what means the most to me. Somebody, so we have a game tonight. We're gonna have a couple thousand people in here. Those people, every one of them, decided that tonight on a Friday night in the summer, there's only about 5-6 months of year worth living here in Chicago weather-wise. On this Friday night, they took their hard-earned money and spent it to go to a Windy City ThunderBolts game. What do we compete with? Movies, restaurants, water parks, street festivals, concerts. George Strait was at Lake House, right? All of it, right? And then you take all those things and then you condense them all into the summer, when again it's the only time worth being around here is weather-wise. I think that is I always say it's a privilege to work in a ballpark, number one. But the other thing is that you have to realize that those people had a lot of other options, and it's our responsibility to make sure that they got their money's worth and that it was money well spent, and they had a good time here. And so, yeah, that's there you go, right? And it's what's rewarding is when you see your game day staff, your ushers, your security people, when they all start to understand it, and it all comes together. That's a great thing, because at the end of the day, it's going to result in happy fans. That's
magic. So, Bill, first off, I'm giving you a round of applause. That was beautiful. That was elegant. That was poetic. I think it's a privilege. Even staying home and watching Netflix or playing video games is your competition, right? I'm like, and I couldn't admire and love what you just said more. Of our fans have so many different options, yet they chose to spend their quality time, like you said, and probably 5 months is probably being generous, right? It's probably about 3 months of good weather. And they've decided, John, you're doing it tonight, to bring their family to your facility. And Bill, just hats off to you on how you're teaching these young people, these interns. I would love to talk to your interns, because you're laying a foundation of like how they're going to be in their professional lives, and you're giving them just a great foundation working at your organization.
Yeah, another thing I like to instill upon them, if Tuesday and Wednesdays in minor league baseball, tough, right? It's tough for restaurants. It's tough for a lot of businesses. Tuesday and Wednesdays, and that's probably going to be our lighter crowds of the week. Mm-hmm. If the people that are there, they deserve the exact same show and the exact same energy and the exact same attention than if we had 3,500 in here.
Yep.
Right. So, to me, that's another important thing that, as an organization at our level, I think that you really have to instill upon people, because it's not anybody's fault who came in on a Tuesday and bought 4 tickets for their family, right, that they don't get our best. Right. So, yeah, I think it's a constant, it's a constant reminder of philosophy and everything. But like I said, when it comes together, it's I always tell our interns, you know, when it comes together on a given night, you won't need a car to get home. You'll just fly home. You just on adrenaline, you know. It's really cool because you know you did a great job. You know, people had fun. You see them smiling faces on the way out. That's the reward. It isn't a Thunderbolts win. I hate to break it to people. I love it. And to me, any night we're in the game in the bottom of the ninth inning and people are on the edge of their seat or on their feet, that's good enough for me. As long as again, we can't control that. What we can control is how we treat people, the quality of the food, the lines, and our you know, between innings promotions, the music we're playing. Those are the things we can control. I leave it to Bobby Jenks to worry about the rest. So, and some nights, yeah, they're gonna lose 7-1 and get 2 hits. Yeah, right. Can't do anything about it.
Right. But you can still provide a great night. So
absolutely,
Bill, that was just such an inspirational little, you know, rant right there. Love it. John, let's take it home because I know we want to wrap up on time because I usually keep us. So John, what are your parting thoughts as a fan, as a business partner here with our friends at at Thunderbolt? What are your thoughts of this conversation?
Well, I mean, we talk about this almost every episode, right? You know, the product, service, experience model of a business, right? And I was exactly thinking what Bill was talking about, where I can't even imagine like being in a business where you don't have control over your product, right? You know, like you have 3 dynamics there. You got the service, which you can control. You got the experience, which is a byproduct of your service, but the product is just you can't do anything about it, right? And that's really tough, but it is unique, you know, and you
I'll
can do
add in a
everything.
fourth. I can't do much about the weather either. That's
There's a
the other
fourth
thing I don't have
dynamic there for
control.
sure. But you can totally tell. It's one thing to talk about. It's another thing to live it and experience it. And Bill and his team do a really good job there. And yeah, that is totally dynamic because you can't just point the finger and say, hey, the team on the field didn't do so hot, you know, so the fans had a bad experience. It has to be the other way around. And it's unique because you take those lessons in baseball. We talk about baseball as a microcosm of life. It's continuing teaching people.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about that in business, right? And, you know, I think Bill, we said Pete Rose before this thing started here, and it could just kind of populated a quote, but I think it was him, but I could be wrong. My dad would kill me if I'm not. But I'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit just to play baseball.
That's
right?
it.
And
you got it.
Pete, I know you don't really like the guy, but he did love baseball. And
Yeah.
I feel like your people and what you do there, your people will walk through hell in a gasoline suit to deliver a great fan experience at Thunderbolt Stadium. And my core people here, I'll tell you what, I don't think they'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit to make T-shirts, but to build a business and to build a team. That's what we do here. And yeah, it's
one thing I would add, and I see this with other the teams in our league or other minor league teams that I am familiar with.
Yeah,
the ones that are doing well or that are really putting on a good presentation have one thing for sure in common, and that is continuity of staff. And that's one thing we've been very fortunate here. Our GM, Mike Bershave, he's worked here since he was 16 years old. And so he was here the first day. He walked in as a 16-year-old and said, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And he's been here ever since. So, you know, I mean, there isn't a nut or a bolt or, you know, anything in this ballpark. He doesn't know where it's at. And then the rest of us, I've been here 10 years. Johnny's been here 8 years. Karen started out as doing game day stuff, and now she's a full timer. And then our last employee, the young kid, he was an intern for us one summer and ended up with a full time job. Continuity, I think, in building a business as best you can. You know, the old saying that there isn't anybody who isn't replaceable. Me, well, you own your own business, John. I mean, you're probably not very replaceable, but you know, as employees, And that is true to an extent. But it does sometimes come with some pain, temporary pain, and loss of revenue or whatever. But if you can minimize that as best you can and keep people employed, keep them happy, at least in our business, boy, the teams that struggle are the ones that change GMs every 2 years.
Yeah.
And every time they come in, they've got to learn the market, learn how the game's played, in terms of the local community and all that stuff. So I had to throw that out there because it's something that that over the years I've really noticed that continuity is a real, as long as you got the right team, of course, continuity is a big deal.
Well, great point. And that stands for business owners as well. That consistency, continuity, teamwork, fans first, treating your customers like a privilege. Just tons of golden nuggets here today, Bill. John, any parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share as we close out?
No, just excited for a game tonight. Taking my boy. This will be the first Windy City game for my youngest son Tommy.
Nice.
So excited about that. And
wow.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So, all right. Tons of great information here. If anything that you missed, go back, hit the rewind button. We're going to be getting this shared out for you. Bill, thank you. We appreciate you. We applaud you, commend you for the wonderful work that you're doing for friends at Crestwood. And just keep up the good work, my friend. Very inspiring. John will be back here next week with another wonderful guest, and we'll catch you guys soon.